Today, I want to share with you that helps you get booked on podcasts, and it's called PodEngine. Okay, PodEngine. Yeah, PodEngine. I like it. And this tool, it's important for you to research, pitch, and monitor every podcast in seconds. Well, why would you want to be doing that in the first case? There's a concept that I saw from this. I want to do a whiteboard so we can draw and talk at the same time. There's a concept I saw, and this concept is called the BOP method. So basically, what does BOPA mean? It means borrow other people's audience. Okay. So a lot of people already have podcasts and they've had this podcast for years. And so you have value. So what happens is you then pitch to be on their podcast, you get featured, and you get the audience without worrying, oh, did my content go viral and things like that. As long as you provide value, you get to as long as you provide value, you get the audience and you could sell or do what you or promote what you want to promote. Now, where is the data coming from PodEngine? It's coming from Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, RSS, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Okay, and you can get access to transcripts, sponsors. Okay, I'll explain each of the, I will log in and then I'll explain each of the functions. But before then, let me just give you a top level of what each of these things mean. So with transcript, you can search for across multiple podcasts what different people are talking about. And with sponsors, let's say I have a podcast and I'm like, okay, I'm looking for sponsors. Who should I meet to sponsor my podcast? Okay. With the sponsor list, I can then go ahead and look at other similar podcasts and the people that are sponsoring them and then make it easy for me to just pitch to them. And that way, because they're already sponsoring podcasts, when I pitch to them, come sponsor my podcast, they're not wondering, oh, what's the podcast? They're like, yeah, we didn't even know that there was a podcast like this. Well, how do we work together? Same thing that you get access to the emails, the rankings, the social stats, and the audience. And the amazing thing I just noticed is that they have an MCP server, okay? And they also have an API. So MCP server is you can connect the PodEngine to ChatGPT and even talk with ChatGPT, and ChatGPT will go ahead and do the work in PodEngine for you, okay? And these are some of the things you can find the right podcast for different functionalities you want to use it for. You can also get guests. So if you have an agency where you booking people on podcasts, you can do that. And I talked about connecting to Claude and ChatGPT. Well, enough of the talking. Let me log in and let's see what we're talking about. Okay, I don't think I remember my password. Okay, yeah, I've logged in. Okay, so this is the Sench functionality. This is the alert functionality. Now, what does the alert do? Let me explain the alert. And as a guest, you're guesting on podcast, and okay, I'll give an example. If you want to be on podcast, you might be wondering, how do I find the right podcast that would want to accept someone like me, that would want to interview someone like me to talk about different things, all those things. How do I even do that? Well, it's simple. Find someone in your niche, right? A figure in your niche that does something similar to what you do. Not necessarily the same thing, but something similar. And you can put and add their name as an alert. Like this guy in a Harry Martin, I've added him as an alert. And so what happens? He talks about podcasting. I have a podcast agency too. Well, he does branded podcasting for companies. I talk about podcasting for founder-led podcasts and founder-led brands, something like that. And what happens is and now I get to see all the guest appearance he has made, and I can easily pitch to these people. Now he's not been on podcast for a while, but you can see all the different podcasts he's been on. Okay, and that way, based on the fact that he has done the research, looking for different podcasts, pitching to them, I just because the podcasts that I see now, they are all amazing podcasts for me to be on. Podcast perspectives, B2B marketing on the mission, podcast on podcasting, verified, again, branded content that works. How I built it. Okay, it's the podcasters amongst many other things like that. So it becomes easy. The other thing I can do is I can check the charts. Okay. So depending on the country, so this is important data for what exactly? Well, you can check and see the top podcasts that are ranking, and not just let's see some. Let me show you something. Not just ranking. Okay. Of course, there are the top podcasts, which are like the popular podcasts overall. But for most people, you're looking at, okay, what are the top history podcasts? What are the top technology podcasts? I want to see what are the top history podcasts. Let's see. Okay. So the rest is history. And okay, let's say the research is history. Or let's say you want to do health and fitness. Okay. And so what exactly would I want to see the top 100? Let's say I want to promote my podcast. Okay. Or I want to pitch my guests to be on podcast. I'm going to look what are the top 100 fitness podcasts. What I can also do is I can change it from Apple Podcast to maybe Spotify, and I could change the country too from to a different country. Like, what's an English speaking country that I could talk about? Is New Zealand English speaking country? I don't know. France, definitely not. French. Spain, no. Spanish. Spain speaks Spanish, yeah, right? Uh, Finland, Germany, German. I'm trying to look for an English. Okay, Australia, yeah, definitely English. So I can see the Spotify chart for health and fitness. I can see this. I can see this, and you can see the rankings of. I think the ranking is up to 50. Yeah, it gets up to 50. Okay, you can see the different podcasts, and you can select the dates. Okay, so right now it's the 19th. Okay, no, so I'm selecting 19th. I could select 20th, and I could also do Apple Podcast and see, and it's almost the same. And just check for the chat. So I've looked at the alerts. Okay. So the alerts is also functional if you're a guest on podcast. And when you go on podcast, you don't want to start tracking and hunting down the host and seeing if they release the episodes. Because sometimes hosts release episodes and they don't tell you that they've released the episodes. It happens. Sometimes they're busy and then they get to message you. You want to know when the episode comes out and things like that, so that you don't have to hunt them and be asking them when will the episode come out, when will the episode come out. Okay, so that's the alert works. Then the charts, we looked at the charts. Then there's the projects and guests. Okay, so like this one now, if you're using PodEngine to book people on podcast, what's going to happen now is are going to you're going to you're going to create a profile for them like this. Everything's going to be organized. Right now I created a profile for myself. Okay, then there's also the outreach. Okay, and you can see the guest profile. You can select who the profile is, and it's going to like create, and so these are some like suggestions. Okay, wow, and these are like ready to go outreach messages I can send. I can go ahead and open it in Gmail, which I like that functionality. You can open it in Gmail, and all that's left is to just put in their email address and send to them. And I think you can get their email address here. Ah. Okay, no primary email found for this lady. Let's see this one. See the primary. Okay, an email was found. Okay, so if I do this and I open it in Gmail, it allows me to I can easily just send to them without thinking and wondering. So I can let me just send this. Let's send this and see. Now, of course, the pitch you have to customize it. Well, I just want to send something. Let's see. So that has been sent. So I can now change the status to, okay, this is the template I used. Okay, so you can see the different outreach. I think what I really love about this tool is not necessarily in terms of pitching to be on a podcast, and I did record an episode on pitching, but in terms of pitching to be on a podcast, it's not about spamming and sending to a lot of people. There are a couple of things you want to filter and make sure that the podcasts are relevant to you, and then pitch and be intentional about the pitch, and then those people would call you to be on the podcast. So I'll get to the parts about the pitching. Okay, we'll get there in a moment. So this is the outreach. It creates so I can create different templates for the outreach, and it's going to craft outreach messages for me to send to them. And yeah, so these are different suggestions it brought up for me, so I can easily just message them. So now the next one is transcriptions. You can see different episodes that have been transcribed. You can see the different episodes that have been transcribed. And then the next we have is research. Now, with this research, you can get to ask AI, and you can ask AI different questions. Find sponsors. Okay, so I'm going to say find sponsors for the Innovation podcast. Okay, let me spell the name well so I don't confuse the AI. So you find sponsors for the Innovation podcast, and it's going to do its thing. And okay, so it's going to do its thing. So So I've looked at the research, I've looked at the transcriptions, I've looked at the outreach, I've looked at the project and guests. I've also looked at the chats, I've looked at the alerts. The other thing I want us to really spend time looking at is the search, and then eventually we'll do the claim podcast. Okay, okay, and then maybe the developers option. So I really want to go through the whole tool to help you understand what the engine is. Upon engine, while this thing is working and cooking its magic, I'm just gonna explain some other things for you. PodEngine is a really good tool if you want to like super power your podcast. Okay, you you want to superpower your podcast. What does that even mean? You are booking guests on podcasts. Okay, so if you have a guest booking agencies, you want to like help guests get booked on podcasts, you can use PodEngine to find relevant podcasts without having to wonder what and what is, okay, and find necessary data about those podcasts. You can also use it to find sponsors, okay. And with PodEngine, it's not just for guest booking agencies, okay. PR agencies can use it. So if you want to like, because being on podcast is also a way for what's PR again? Public relation. I don't know. It's also good for PR. Okay, and if you have something you're pitching, you can, and your clients are podcasters, you can also use that. So I asked it to find me sponsors. It went ahead and it looked at my podcast. It said no sponsor have edited in 10 most recent episodes. Okay, oh, I see. I think so. The only thing I was promoting was my own service on my podcast. But that's not what I want you to do. Right? I want you to. Mm, that's not what I want you to- so I get it now. This function is to find sponsors on a podcast. Okay, which company, which like who's a popular podcast company? Find. I mean, in terms of podcasting, how to podcast. What's the popular podcasting company? Find sponsors from the podcast. It might not be a lot of sponsor based on the fact that it's a branded company podcast. What's happening? Well, the tool is in beta, so let's try that again. Or maybe I have to create a new chat. Yeah. What's happening? So I'll log in and then I'll come back. Okay, so yeah, we're back in again. And so I was doing research, and you want to look at, okay, what are the top guys in my industry in similar niche? Let's say you have a true crime podcast. You want to look at, okay, what podcasts are sponsoring like the true crime other guys there. They might not necessarily be exact kind of podcast, but they're like in a sense similar. And so from there you can like get people to like say, okay, these are the sponsors. And when I went to podcast, there are a couple of other podcasts that are podcast, but this is the one I'm talking about. Okay. Okay, so this is it now. It can give you enough data. Now, if it's my podcast, I can claim this podcast, but it's not mine, so I can't do that. So it's a network podcast, Boss Sprout. Okay, very few guests, 10% are guests. Standard led 38 minutes, no followers, highly rated, 193 reviews, top 100, number 67 in Apple. Wow, that's amazing. It's John's business, marketing, news tech, technology. That's lovely. So I can see those data. They've released 285 episodes. Wow. Okay. Language, Apple. This is the Apple link, this is Spotify link, and this is the link to the different platforms. Okay. And they also have a link in Pod News, which is amazing. Okay. So I could even click on that to see what I. So this is Bosscast, and oh, wow. In July 20, this reached an audience of with 854. Are you sure this number is correct? I don't know, maybe that's a monthly or per episode. So I can see different host. I really don't know what this number means. Let me see. Can I check for the number? Let's see. I'm going to rabbit hole. Wow, wow. So I can actually see the data of Bosscast. This is amazing. So in the last 7 days, 1,704 downloads. In the last 30 days, 7,529 downloads. Okay, in July they had 840 downloads. In June, 8,000 downloads. Wow. So about 8,000, almost 10,000 downloads per month, which is good. Which is good, considering if they release. Okay, I'm guessing this every time there's a spike is when they published an episode. Okay, every time there's a spike, there's an episode. Okay, so in July the I don't want to go too much this, but you can see the different data and you can see where people are listening from, you know, all the data, you can see everything. So this is amazing because it means when you're pitching, you can easily do that. So back to PodEngine, you can see like all the links is one place. I don't have to start hunting for it. Okay, there's really nothing on YouTube. If you based on the authority of the podcast is currently 59, which is amazing because a lot of podcasts don't get listeners. And the podcast is chatting on these locations. Okay, these are the chatting that is showing. Okay, and these are all the reviews from Castbox. Okay, they didn't find anything from Castbox, and then there's a review from 229 reviews from Apple Podcasts. You can all see all the reviews, okay, of the podcast. Okay, easily in one place. You can see the handles of the company, the podcast, and the host, and you can see the links, the email of the different hosts you can contact, and you can also see similar podcasts, okay, which is great, because then you can then find and know who can I reach out to based on this, okay. And most of all these podcasts, they're actually similar podcasts. You get, and you can see the episodes they published. I think they publish one every week, and if they have about 8,000 downloads, it means that they're having about 2,000 downloads per episode. So, which is a good podcast. It is actually great. Okay, so that is amazing. I think I'm looking for sponsors. Okay, so you can see recent sponsors zero zero. I knew there was not going to be sponsors, but if I check this podcast, I should see sponsors because this one has sponsors. Like that one is like a company podcast, so they don't have any sponsors. And you can see the ratings. Wow, strong following. This is crazy. And you can see the on Pod News. And let's see if they have an OP3 stuff. Uh, they don't have an OP3, so I cannot go and like check their like downloads. So let me check the sponsors. Okay, that's a great podcast authority. It's a popular podcast. Let me see. The socials. There's YouTube presence, LinkedIn presence. Then there's sponsors. Episodes with sponsors 10, unique sponsors, and you can see the different sponsors. Delete Me, Superhuman, Whisper Flow, Masterclass, Tribe Market, Fabric, Green Chef, Upwork. So I can easily see sponsors to reach out to. So these are some of the functionalities of PodEngine. Okay, I'm going to go back and this is the part I want to show you now. I want to show you the search option. Okay, now search option is if you want to look for me now. I'm looking for podcasts where I can go and let's say the people that I help, they are coaches. Okay, and I'm gonna search now. It's searching for keywords in the name, boy. So it's search. This is going to search for podcast. So any podcast that has coach in the name, it's going to bring that up. But most podcasts that I might be great for. So we have 295. Now, I want deep search. I want look at the episodes too and tell me which one is for coaches. Okay. So I have 365, 367 results. Now, so this is the search option. I'm looking for podcasts I could appear on. What I'm going to do now is okay, the podcast published in the last 90 days. I need something in the last 30 days. Okay, so now we're down to 1,146. 90 days. I mean, if you're not posting at least once a month, you're not active. Okay, then do they accept guests? Yes, I want them. Because there's only pitch to a podcast that does not or has never accepted guests. Okay, do they have contact? Yes. Okay, so you see the number is going down. Okay, so we're picking the relevant. Now, English, I want it to be English because okay, so English is selected by default. Let's see, let's collect English back. Okay, country, I don't really mind the country. I don't really mind if they have socials. Reviews, 100 plus, 100 plus is popular. Let's say minimum reviews, just as a way, 10 reviews. I mean, if you have a podcast, to get 10 reviews is very easy. Like, you can tell your mom, your dad to review. Episode count, okay? Now, do I want a new podcast or podcast that's in the game? So let's say 50 plus. If you do 50 plus, you're serious, okay? Okay, let's say I want to do max. I don't want a podcast that's too old, too big. Let's say I want to do 100. And okay, it's still the same. Okay, still the same thing. Then let's bring the authority score down. Okay, thing is not reducing. Let's say like genre. Let's say business, education. What else? Technology. Okay, society and culture. Okay, for some reason, there are no results. So I think I have to adjust my filters. Let's put this here. Okay, I think where did I remove this? Okay. think the part where I filter it down is this genre. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. So we're back to 266. Okay. So now for me, it's me too. This is more like coaches. That's not the kind of podcast. House of L podcast. So the coach sees edge. Okay. So I see a lot of literal coaches. So I'm getting more coaches getting clients. Okay. I see this one. I can look at it. Okay, this looks good. When was 230 episodes? This is a serious show. 37 ratings, 12 one 27 plays. This is a serious show for YouTube presence. Okay, so she released an episode 7 days ago. How to become a mom coach in 2026. Okay, so I can find those podcasts and begin to collate my list of maybe 10 to 20 people that I actually know that I'm relevant with. Because instead of just being like reach out to everybody, which is in a sense good, you want to pick 20 to 30 people that they need guests. Your message is relevant, super relevant to them, just start reaching out to them. It might take some time, but eventually when you because you've been intentional about it, when you get invited or interviewed, it's worth it. Okay, so that's pod engine. I just want to give you a quick roundup so I can claim my podcast and I'll be able to get my you I'll be able to see my data and I'll get my preferred badge, edit my profile, update the data on the platform. Okay, but I don't want to do that. Okay, then for the developers, and I talked about the MCP and all that. So you can get the API key and connect this to MCP servers and then tell ChatGPT to. So you see how I say search for this, do this. When you connect it, you can access the data and use the tool with the MCP. So I'm going to try to use this tool to get booked on podcast. I think I have about 28 days left to do that. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions and if you want to try out the tool. I'll put the link in the description for you to check it out.